This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. We're Nate and Shannon, a nomadic couple traveling the US in our self-renovated JDM camper van. We're now moving south through South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. After months of trouble-free... mostly trouble-free travel, we recently encountered a few issues with our power setup. We'll need to implement a few major upgrades soon, but for now, we'll make the most of our remaining time on the road. One more note, 2020 Element Van Life calendars are now available on my website. There's a link in the description below. We had to splurge for a paid campsite last night. This is the first time we've done this since we left New England a couple of weeks ago. And I guess we didn't really have much of a choice. We've been having a few issues with the van. Well, not really with the van, but with the camper setup in the van. And one of them in particular is not really allowing us to generate power anymore. We have a pretty complicated power setup in the van. There are a couple of different power systems. We had the original one in there, which we piggybacked off of from the 25-year-old camper conversion with all the old wiring and everything. And then we added a Bluetti on top of that for our solar panels to charge that. And then I had this roundabout system for charging the Bluetti while we drive. So I was using the house battery, the original house battery, running an inverter on that, and then plugging in the AC charger for the Bluetti into that inverter. And it was working really well for the past couple of weeks, but the other day we were driving along I-26 here in South Carolina and we noticed some burning smells. Still not 100% sure where the burning smell was coming from. At first I thought it was the alternator and I kind of freaked out, but I was able to do some tests with the multimeter after we stopped, and it's definitely not the alternator. The alternator is fine. So I think maybe what it was is that the Renogy inverter that we have was overheating. It wasn't getting enough power. That AC adapter that we have for the Bluetti draws close to 500 watts, which is a lot. It's probably too much for the setup that I had in there. Needless to say, we are not going to be charging like that while we're driving anymore, so we are at this campground. As a result, we plugged in, we were able to top off all the batteries last night, so we have 100% charge. We should be good to go a couple of days. We're also having issues with the solar panels as well, though. They are not charging the way that they used to with our old Bluetti. I guess the biggest bummer with our recently found power struggles is that as soon as I unplug our connection to shore power here at the campground, which I'm about to do in just a minute, we're not going to be able to keep the fridge running for too long. We're going to be on a timeline. It's going to be 72 hours, and then at that point we'll need to either plug in again or figure something else out. Well, actually, yeah, we'll just have to plug in again. So I'm not really a huge fan of spending $50 or $60 a night to sleep somewhere. I've never been a big fan of that. So I think that our timeline here to get back to the house in Florida is going to be accelerated. I think this might be the nicest campground we've ever stayed at.
Definitely. Most amenities, best view. Absolutely. I'm glad we stayed here. I would stay longer if we had the time, but we don't because we gotta get back to Florida and work on the house. I am very excited to get back and start working on the house because I just love working on the house, but it actually couldn't have come at a better time because with all these problems, it's really nice to have a home base to go back to and be able to sort out some of these issues.
Yeah, and we probably won't have it for too much longer. I mean, that's the plan, so hopefully get it rented out so that we can then get back on the road. But in order for us to get back on the road, I'm definitely going to need to like overhaul some of the stuff in this van, especially the power system. I'm going to redo the whole thing, guys. I got it all planned out. I'm very excited about it, but we got to get back there in order to get started. As I mentioned earlier, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with tons of different classes and courses that you can take to learn just about anything. I've done multiple classes on there in the past, and they've been longtime supporters of this channel and of Element Van Life. And this week, I guess I have kind of a big announcement to make. For the past few months, I've been working very closely with Skillshare to put together my own Skillshare class. I'm super excited to be finally sharing this news with you guys. The class is called Finding Financial Freedom Through Minimalism, and it's really geared towards anybody who wants to learn to live with less. For me, less stuff equals less stress, and minimalism has been a gateway towards a life that I actually want to live. In my years before living in my element, I was not happy. I know I've talked about that a lot on this channel, and I've definitely learned a lot about practicing minimalism, both physical minimalism and financial minimalism, and the class goes into all of those past experiences, as well as sharing a lot of tips and tricks and some of the things that I've done in the past to help me on this journey. I really do think that we can all learn something by living with less, and that's what this course is all about. I owe a huge thank you to Skillshare for working with me on putting this one together, and the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. I would definitely recommend checking out Skillshare either way, and I hope that you guys enjoy the course, those of you that do get the chance to check it out. Thank you again, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video.
Feels so good
Why not?
after all that fried food.
That is probably the most unhealthy I've ever felt after eating so many vegetables.
Yeah, me too. It was probably half oil, but tasted delicious.
It was great.
We are now in Georgia. We passed through Savannah this evening. It's been a pretty long day. A lot of coffee shops, a couple different coffee shops, working a lot of driving as well. And we should get into Florida though at some point tomorrow morning. We are going to try to do one more campsite. We're going to find a free campsite out in the Wild Florida area, one of the swamps up in northern Florida. I got a couple in mind, so hopefully one of those will work out. That's quite the hole.
Swamp.
That's a swamp.
There's no alligators in it.
There definitely are. This is actually a pretty awesome spot. It is in the Osceola National Forest. There's actually a 14-day limit at this campground as well. It's entirely free. Would be a pretty cool place to hang out for more than just one night. Unfortunately, we literally only have tonight because the Blue Eddy's already at about 60% charged, and by the end of the night it's pretty warm out. The fridge is going to be running. We're only going to have until probably tomorrow evening before we need to plug in again. These power issues are definitely a little bit of a bummer, but like we said the other day, we got to get back to the house anyways to finish up with that renovation, and it'll provide a perfect time for us to be able to overhaul the van system so that we can then get back out here. I would love to explore some of these spots like this all across Central Florida. There are a lot of really awesome places to check out.
I think this is as far as we go down this road.
It's not really much of a road anymore.
Might lose a shoe.
Did you miss mosquitoes?
I did not. Did not miss them at all. But this is nowhere near as bad as Maine was.
Shannon had to head into the van for one last meeting for the day, one last work meeting. There's actually surprisingly good AT&T cell coverage out here, nothing on Verizon, but I'm trying to give her some space in the van, so I'm just kind of walking around the swamp here and trying not to get eaten alive by mosquitoes. For some reason, the mosquitoes really like me a lot more than they like Shannon. I don't know what it is, but they go after me. Dinner tonight is pretty simple. We're just making some of the leftovers that we had from our soul food escapade that we went on in Georgia yesterday. Had quite a bit of leftovers, so we're gonna mix it. It's like collard greens and rice with black-eyed peas, and then we have some frozen chicken patties that we're gonna make, along with some cornbread that I picked up today at the grocery store. I think it's gonna be a pretty delicious meal, especially when you consider that it's just all left over from last night. By the way, Shannon is in the front seat right now, trying to finish up with her video call. You can definitely scratch what I said about the good AT&T signal earlier, because I think she's having some serious troubles getting connected.
Really hungry.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
He who smelt it, dealt it.
What?
By good, I mean very mediocre, but better than you.
I'm pretty bad at shuffling. We've been learning how to play cribbage.
We're masters at cribbage now.
Not yet, but
We can remember all the steps.
kinda. I accidentally dealt an extra card in the last hand, but we'll get there. It's fun. It's a fun game.
So close to my house. The closer we get, the more excited I get, and the harder it is to be patient and wait. Can we go now?
It's only 7 o'clock in the morning.
I'm so excited.
So you're gonna go for a bike ride?
It's really wet. I would be afraid I would sink in.
Yeah. It's also really difficult to get the bike out. That's another reason why we gotta get back. When I got the bike, I kind of displaced everything that we own in the van, and it's nice having the bike, but at the same time, like, I really gotta go on like a minimalist spree and go through everything.
Yeah, we need a new organization system now. We had to ship an entire box back with the UPS from, where were we? From New Hampshire or like Virginia or something?
We were somewhere. We started the drive with this big box of stuff that was
we
basically...
can't fit anymore because of the bike.
So we made it back, and now the van is just a complete disaster in here. I'm on kind of a hardcore minimalist spree, even though it doesn't really look like it. This is what... Gotta fix that at some point. This is what we meant by the bike kind of throwing everything off. Back here, it takes up a lot of space, obviously, and then we didn't really have homes for all the other stuff, and some of the stuff is already in the house, so it's just like, I gotta go through all this over the next couple of weeks, really get into it, try to reorganize, make homes for everything that we have in the van, and then obviously fix the power problems. After looking into this a little more since we got back, I'm realizing we probably damaged whatever connection was going on in here between the house battery and the starter battery, because with the multimeter I've done a couple of tests and it doesn't seem to be charging the same way that it used to. Actually, it doesn't really seem to be charging at all, so whatever we burned up was probably between those two connections. Fortunately, the starting battery is fine and the alternator is fine. It's just a matter of whether or not this battery is fine. If it is, I am going to try to reuse it. My plan is to sort of repurpose this entire system. Probably what we should have done from day one with this conversion. I'm just going to gut everything, pull it all out, redo all the wiring, and start from scratch. I have a couple of plans in mind, but that'll all be part of one of the next videos here, guys. I can't thank y'all enough for following along on this journey and for watching. Special thank you to my Patreon pledges as well, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one.